How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Today I decided to go ahead and thought that we should probably have some fun with this. So all of you guys may know that I am a huge Legend of Zelda fan here, and I decided to go ahead and let's do a Zelda ranking video. So this is gonna be of course all in my opinion, what I think should be considered the best of the best Zelda games, and what are just some of the worst and stuff. And really, it may be a little bit hard just because there really isn't that many bad Zelda games. Yeah, let's just go ahead, get on with the video here, and let's get on with my own personal Zelda ranking. So we're gonna go ahead and start off at the very bottom here and then make our way all the way to, looks like it's gonna be Ocarina of Time here at the very end. But first off, we're gonna go ahead and start off with Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And honestly, with this one, for me, I can already tell you guys where it's actually going to be going. I'm gonna probably put it at a C tier, just because it really isn't that bad of a game, if I'm 100% honest with you. Like, I actually kind of think it's all right. Like, I find it fun, but the main issues that I mainly have with it, I feel like for me, is mainly the main overworld for it. I'm not much of a fan of how it's kind of like that top down point of view, and then the story of the game as well. It's just very meh. Like, it turns out that the first Legend of Zelda game, basically that wasn't, or I think if I remember correctly, I think that wasn't the real Zelda, but the real Zelda is the Zelda that you meet here in Zelda 2, I guess, or it's like another Zelda or something like that. But I know that that's what the story was about, is that there's another Zelda, apparently. I think it's not bad, like gameplay, like the 2D aspect of it is actually pretty fun, and to some extent. And honestly, I would honestly love to have a Zelda 2 remake. I think that would be very interesting, seeing what they can do to fix this game and potentially make it be great. Next on the list here is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, and this, for me, I'm gonna go with an S tier. Wind Waker is so good, specifically if we're talking about Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. Just the tablet screen and everything that the game does there is just fantastic, and as well, like the quality of life changes that HD version made was so good that it's like, it makes it kind of hard for me to go back to the GameCube version. But honestly, yeah, if we're talking about Wind Waker HD, it for sure is gonna go with an S, the S tier. If we're talking about normal GameCube version, I honestly think I'd probably put it still on S tier, if I'm honest with you. Maybe at A, actually, around there. But I'm just gonna go with Wind Waker overall and just a HD version. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in S tier. It's just a fantastic game. Many people complained about it when it first released just because of the cartoony art style, but honestly, it does not deserve any form of hate. Not only that, the ending of it's amazing. Next on the list here that we have The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, and this looks like to be the original Game Boy version. A lot of people love this game and grew up with this game, but I honestly did not grow up with it. In fact, it wasn't until later on I finally got to it, and aka the remake came out on Switch, and then that's the way how I first experienced the game fully. And then after that, I actually picked it up on the original Game Boy, and that's when I beat the original as well. It's amazing dungeons. It's honestly as old school Zelda games. Very tricky puzzles and everything, and it's honestly still a lot of fun. For me, that's why I still kind of consider or put it in the B category. Next on the list here is Ocarina of Time 3D. I'm gonna put this as an S tier. This is honestly an amazing remake, like 3DS port remake. Like, it's so good. The graphics, everything, the quality of life changes, the dual screen, having the map there on the secondary screen, the quick item swap kind of thing, the iron boots, or just boots in general, actually being items now, making the water temple less of a chore. It's honestly the best version to play Ocarina of Time if you want to play Ocarina of Time now. And that's why with me, I personally would want an Ocarina of Time 3D remake to come to the Switch, or just really their next system or anything. I want Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D to be more so of an HD port than I would want Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD to come over to the Switch. That's just my opinion. It just makes me upset that Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D are stuck on the 3DS. Four Swords Adventure. This one I feel like gets so much hate for it for no reason. Honestly, I want to give it in the B tier again. It's really not that bad, especially if you do have the link cables for your Game Boy Advance. Like, you can definitely go ahead and like play this with people. Like, I actually was playing it a little bit with my girlfriend, and we were having quite a bit of fun playing it. And even just playing it solo, it still is quite a bit of fun. I don't know, people just give it so much hate for some odd reason, but I think it's amazing. I think it's fun. It's very, I say it's very underrated, 100%. Next on the list here is Spirit Tracks. I'm gonna put that on A tier. I'm sorry, I love Spirit Tracks. In fact, Spirit Tracks for me has the best music, like up there with me for the Legend of Zelda game. Like Full Steam Ahead, it's such a good song. It's god tier. I love the final boss. I love the characters in this game, like Chancellor Cole. I love just everything about this game. I think it gets so much hate for no reason, in the same vein as Four Swords Adventures, mainly just because of the controls. And honestly, I would love to see an actual HD remake, HD version of Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass that doesn't require you to have touchscreen controls. Would be amazing. Spirit Tracks just has the best music in any Zelda game, at least up there for me. So it's highly slept on. Breath of the Wild, the easiest S tier. I mean, it's Breath of the effing Wild. Like, this is what changed Zelda now to be even, I want to say, even more mainstream now. Yeah, this for me is peak, not really peak, but it is the very best of the best. If you want an open world game that does not hold your hand at all, and you want to have fun and just explore this humongous world, Breath of the Wild is the way to do it. I adore this game to death. The story for sure was a little bit lacking in that, in my opinion, but still wasn't bad. And just the whole mystery of just the whole calamity event that happened 100 years prior to the events of this game, it just makes it so much more interesting. And I just remember the hype for this game all the way back in like 2013, I think it was, or 2014, when the first trailer for this game was first shown off. Like, I was hyped for this game. So yeah, easily the best game up there, and not even then, probably even the best game of all time here. If I gotta reorganize the way how it is, you know, we'll go ahead and do it like this. I'll probably reorganize everything at the very end of my list here, just to kind of let you guys know what is actually better than whatever. But yeah, so far that's where I'm putting Breath of the Wild. It's far superior, 100%. A Link Between Worlds. Now this game is hardcore. Like, I feel like it came out, everyone loved it, praised it, and then nobody has talked about it since for some odd reason. This is amazing. Like, I mean, it is completely different than any other Zelda game there is. And to show you guys how much I actually love this game, I actually named my dog Ravi. Her name is actually based off of Ravio here. That's just how much I love this character and love this game. And just the world is literally the exact same as A Link to the Past, but it has some different changes. Lorule is such a great dark kind of other version of Hyrule that is just so good. The wall mechanics kind of merging on the wall, the painting is so good, so smart, and just makes it have so much fun, different types of puzzles and elements for you to do. Right now it's highly slept on, but not only that, another reason why I also love this game is, like, it was my very first Legend of Zelda game that I've ever 100%ed. So yeah, A Link Between Worlds is hardcore slept on, and it needs a lot more love. And like I mentioned, I would love an HD version too of this game. It's so good. Oh, I guess there is actually a Wind Waker HD. So if that's the case, let me go ahead and update this. So Wind Waker on GameCube, I'm actually going to put this on A. Wind Waker HD, this is going to be an S tier for me. It's just the gamepad elements and everything that it did just made it so far superior than the original. So that's for me the reason why I give it a little bit of a higher score. It's just fantastic. The graphics, everything, the new kind of shading kind of graphics that it has, it's just chef's kiss. It's so good. This is honestly the definitive way for you to play Wind Waker. So yeah, if you own a Wii U, this is honestly the reason for you to own a Wii U, just for this game, and maybe even Twilight Princess HD. Next on the list here is Four Swords. This is the anniversary edition, or the original Four Swords actually. I'm actually gonna put it on C tier. I mean, it's fun, and I actually did get this game for free when the 3DS eShop first opened up. This was actually one of the very first games that everyone was able to get for free on the 3DS eShop store. Same goes with the DSi shop. It's just mainly just to celebrate the 25th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda. You know, if you have other people to play this with, it can be 100% fun, but you can't even play this game solo. So that's why for me, it's just like, you know, it's fun if you do have a group of friends to play this with, but if you're just by yourself alone, you really can't do much with it. Next up, The Legend of Zelda. So this game for me, this is actually a game, if you guys know here in the channel, I've actually been doing a playthrough of this currently. In fact, a remastered version, like a fan-made remaster of it. And I actually have been really enjoying this game. To the point that it honestly still holds up. In fact, I'm actually going to go ahead and add it here in the A tier because it really is still a lot of fun to play. Again, it's still really good, weirdly enough. Like, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it has some annoyances. Like I mentioned, level 6, the Wizrow, if you guys seen my playthrough of it, I hate those mother effers. But other than that, I'm putting respect on this game. Oracle of Ages. So this one right here for me, actually, I can't believe I'm actually gonna do this, but I'm actually gonna add this to the haven't played list. Weirdly enough, I just remembered I've only played Oracle of Seasons. I have not played Oracle of Ages, which I've heard many people say that Oracle of Ages is up there to be one of like the better version of the two. Just because it's more, I believe it's more puzzle oriented, so it's more you solving puzzles and stuff like that, while like Oracle of Season is more so, I guess, more combat, and I guess in a way, I don't know really how to explain it, but yeah, that's just again how Oracle of Ages, from what I've heard, people say it's great. I actually do own this on my 3DS on the Virtual Console. This is actually the very last game that I purchased before the eShop closed here on the 3DS, so I do for sure need to get into this game and play it again. Maybe I'll do that as a live stream or something, or just kind of do another playthrough of it. But yeah, I can't believe I'm actually adding a Zelda game that I haven't played into that category there. That's crazy to me. Okay. All right. Twilight Princess HD. This one for me, I'm gonna add that on the A tier. Twilight Princess HD for me was just a kind of a bit of a disappointment and a letdown for me. It's still a fantastic game, don't get me wrong. I still love Twilight Princess to death, but I feel like it's somewhat overrated, and just specifically this HD version for me, I kind of was very upset with how the graphics, I guess, turned out to be. And like I mentioned, I was one of those people that was excited for the Wii U when it first was announced and it was coming out. The very first thing that they showed us was a tech demo of Twilight Princess Link fighting the spider. Forgot the name. I think it's Goma. I think it's like the mechanical Goma or something like that, or something like that. Just an arachnid, basically. And I remember seeing that trailer and being in awe and was super excited and was really hoping that they would do a Twilight Princess HD in that same regard. And honestly, when rumors were coming out for a Twilight Princess HD to be coming out, and we saw how Wind Waker HD got that amazing graphics treatment, I was so excited and hyped that I thought they were going to do the exact same thing for Twilight Princess. But in reality, all that it really was just more of an HD texture upgrade. And personally for me, I mean, I still loved it. I still picked it up day one. I still, you know, beat the game and everything, and had so much fun playing it. And honestly, if you need to play Twilight Princess HD, I'd say, or Twilight Princess in general, the HD version is a great way to do so. But for me personally, it's just, it just kind of disappointed me. And so that's why for me, specifically talking about the HD version, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the A tier just because of that reasoning. The Minish Cap, I'm going to go ahead and also put this on A tier, and I'm actually going to make that a little bit more in front here. Minish Cap is such a great game, and I would also love for this, in the same vein as Link's Awakening, to get an HD version as well. the Minish Cap is just so much fun. I remember the day that my brother actually picked it up and he took it home, and then he was busy with doing some other stuff, but I went ahead and started playing it on my Game Boy Advance that I had at the time. And I played so much of it and just fell in love with this game. And it was just crazy for me just seeing this Link having a lot of different movesets. Like, I remember being able to do like a roll kind of thing was crazy to me, because I was just like, oh my god, you could only do that in the home console versions, but now you can do it on the handheld versions. Not only that, seeing the mirror shield being an item. Like, I remember when I first saw, like, when I was first into YouTube, I remember one of the very first YouTube videos that I saw was somebody actually getting the mirror shield in the Minish Cap, and I thought it was fake. Like, I honestly thought that the mirror shield was a fake thing. Like, you could not get the mirror shield. But I looked it up, and then I saw that, and then I did the exact same thing that they did, that quest, talking to the Goron and everything, and I was able to get the mirror shield myself, and I was like, oh my god, this was actually real. This is a real item that you can get in this game, was the mirror shield? That's crazy to me. So yeah, I love Minish Cap. It's, again, one of those games that I feel like it does deserve a remake as well. Like, actually having Eslo, I believe was his name, talking to you and everything, like him being your companion, your hat companion, like, that's so cool to me. Like, that's the way how Link has his hat, it's actually a companion for him. Like, I just thought that was super unique. It's your Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. That's actually crazy to me. I'm surprised that this is actually on the list. I'm actually gonna add this here on the B tier. It's not bad at all. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually love it. The main reason why I'm putting it a little bit on the B tier section is more so due to the story. It did some really weird, and again, I don't want to say too much of it because I don't want to spoil it, but it did this really weird thing. People that have played this game will probably understand what I'm trying to say, but this whole kind of idea that a lot of games do, I feel like is a cop-out in a way, and this game story does it, that it's just like, huh? But that's the most that I want to get into to say. But gameplay wise and everything, it's still a fantastic game. I love it to death. It's just also some of the characters don't really feel as great as much as I would love them to feel, at least comparing to like even the original Hyrule Warriors, or even like other Dynasty Warrior type games or Fire Emblem Warriors. They kind of, like, the movement in this game just kind of feels a little bit more slower pace, I guess, for me, and to some extent. I don't know how to really explain it. When I got to the very ending of the game, I was like confused, because they were hyping this up in a way where it was like, or at least it just being a prequel, I should say, to Breath of the Wild, going over the events of the Calamity. And that's why I was super excited for it, because I was like, oh my god, like, this is gonna go through the entire events of the Calamity, but then it hits you with that twist at the very end of the game that's just like, huh. So that's the most that I'll say about the game. Next on the list here I have is Skyward Sword, and a lot of people are gonna be no effing way with me on this, or maybe very upset with me. It's an S tier. I'm sorry. I love Skyward Sword to death. It's so amazing, and I think it is due to the whole nostalgia for me. This was the very first Legend of Zelda game that I saw in E3 2010. If you guys saw my E3 video, I explained how the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword was first announced during that E3 event. So I was there during the very beginning and the hype of this game. Not only that, I was there at launch at my local GameStop here. I picked up the collector's edition of it because I wanted that gold Wii remote, so I was able to get that and everything. And the second that I got it, I went home, put it in my Wii, and played it for 3 days straight, non-stop, from, I believe it was 11 in the morning from when my GameStop opened, and of course driving back home. It was maybe around 11:30 to noon, but I remember playing the game all the way until 2 in the morning, going to sleep, waking up at 7 in the morning, so 5 hours of sleep, and continuing playing from 7 in the morning all the way until midnight. And then doing the exact same thing the following day, going to sleep at midnight and then waking up like around 6 or 7 in the morning, and then playing more of Skyward Sword and then beating it on my very third day of the game releasing. And amazing story. Yes, it is 100% very linear. The Skyloft, or just the open world, the sky, is pretty bland and pretty boring. Like there's not much there when you're actually riding your Lothwing. But I still love this game to death because of its story, it being the origin for everything and explaining a lot of like the reason why all of this whole story is coming to be. Like I was all for it, and I love this game to death because of that. And then Skyward Sword HD released on, and actually it's right here on the list, but Skyward Sword HD released, and I'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, Skyward Sword, it is hardcore slapped on. I don't care what anybody says, and even the Wii version of this game is still amazing. You know what? If HD is actually here, I'm actually gonna go ahead and do this. I'm actually gonna add the Wii version on A tier, and guys can probably get. You know what? I have anything here. Skyward Sword HD. It's S tier. The controls, everything, it being now on a controller using the analog stick and everything on, you know, full HD, 60 FPS. Just, I did the exact same thing as I did on the Wii version, but on the Switch, aka me playing the game at when it first came out, picking it up at my local GameStop, getting the Joy-Con controllers as well, and then just posters and everything for it at launch at the exact same GameStop, coming home and playing it 3 days. Again, took me 3 days on the Switch version, the HD version, to beat it again. And never at that time frame, I never thought that I was able to go ahead and do that again. So I never thought that I would be able to do that again for any form of game. And just something about Skyward Sword HD coming out when it did, it just like revitalized like my inner child, I guess, weirdly enough. Like how the exact same way how I felt when I was 13, 12 years old when the original came out. So yeah, the Skyward Sword HD, it's amazing. People may hate me for it, but I don't care. This is my list. Skyward Sword HD, put some respect on its name. Alright, Skyward Sword deserves a lot of love. But Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons, this one I'm actually going to go ahead and add that at a B tier right here, just next to Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I did love this game. I think it's amazing. I love like it kind of remade some of even the original dungeons in the very first Legend of Zelda game, like the Legend of Zelda game. Like the very first dungeon is still the exact same thing as that tree there. So, but yeah, I love Oracle of Seasons. I thought it was great. I've actually been wanting to replay it again just because it's been so long since I played it. But the way how I first played it was back on the original Game Boy Advance that I had when I was a lot younger, and have not beaten it since then. I actually purchased this as well on my 3DS in order for me to hopefully beat it, and again beat both Oracle of Seasons and Ages. But yeah, haven't played it since, or haven't even really played it since then, so it's kind of hazy for me to remember what the game was really all about. But I remember just still loving this game when I was a kid. So that's why for me, I'm just gonna add it as a B tier. I need to go back and again replay this game. Triforce Heroes. This game for me, I'm gonna add it at a D tier. It's okay. Like I can see what they were going for, like, you know, another multiplayer Zelda game and stuff, but I was hoping for them to kind of do it, like, if you were going to be playing this single player, to be more in the same vein as, like, Four Swords Adventure up here. It's alright. I mean, I've played a couple missions alone and even with some friends, and I mean, it is doable, I guess, for you to play this by yourself, but yeah, man, it's just one of those one and done type of games for me. Alright, A Link to the Past. Oh, man, yeah, this is gonna be very interesting for me. I'm actually gonna put it just behind Minish Cap, if I'm honest with you. I think I prefer Minish Cap a little bit more. I don't have that much of the nostalgia feeling with A Link to the Past. In fact, the very first way that I beat A Link to the Past was actually on my Game Boy Advance when the Link to the Past kind of port came out, with the Four Swords. So that was the way how I played A Link to the Past back then when I was younger. And then it wasn't until I got a little bit older when I replayed it again on the Super Nintendo, the original version, and played it that way and beat it. And it's still a great game. It really is fantastic. And it's honestly what made, like, what kind of, I feel like started the full kind of the formula of a Link to the of a Legend of Zelda game, how it should be, like the format of it. You go into a dungeon, you get the item that you need to complete said dungeon, you beat the dungeon, and then you go ahead and continue on going to the next dungeon. It was basically the main thing that kind of created that formula with it, like a modern day Zelda. But it's still a great game. Like, I actually still love the story and everything, and I beat this very recently. I think it was during 2021. I actually got this again on my original Game Boy. Like, I bought the Game Boy version again, and I beat it there. So yeah, I guess, I mean, that's pretty much the most that I can say with A Link to the Past. I mean, it's a great game. I still do 100% recommend it. But I don't have that nostalgic feeling with it, is kind of my thing for me. Phantom Hourglass, this one for me, I'm probably gonna add it as a high C tier. It's fun, it being a sequel to the Wind Waker and stuff. Like, I remember I got my Legend of Zelda DS Lite limited edition version for Christmas, and this game came with it, and I remember being so excited for it when I was a kid. And it even had some very smart puzzles. Like, one of the puzzles that I really enjoyed that took me a while to like know what to do was the one where you have to close your DS screen in order for it to be kind of like the map that's on the top screen to be copied on the touchscreen map, like on your own very personal map. If you guys have played the game, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But I know that one took me forever for me to like solve, to understand what to do. But yeah, I mean, that was just it. It was just it wasn't bad. It was just all right. Again, like I mentioned, I would actually love to see a remake of this game and Spirit Tracks. Kind of it having modern controls and not touchscreen controls. I think it would be a lot of fun. Majora's Masks, and it looks like there's no Majora's Mask 3D here actually, but OG N64, that's going in S tier. In fact, this is going like, these two always switch for me. It's either Majora's Mask first or Breath of the Wild. Like, my girlfriend, and even just all of my friends know that if they see me playing Majora's Mask, they actually have to ask me, hey bud, are you doing okay? Because they know that this is kind of like my depress, I guess, game or something. I don't know. And it just always makes me happy replaying this game. And so yeah, Majora's Mask for me is just, I think it's just hardcore, like it's up there to be one of the very best games for me. And it was my very first video game that I've actually ever played and beaten. And so that's why it holds a very special place in my heart. I just adore this game to death. Yeah, for sure, for me, S tier. The side quest in this game is amazing. The main story itself is so sad, but so touching and just relatable in some regards. It's just so good. And if the 3DS version was actually here, I probably would actually put the 3DS version on the A tier section. And the reason why is just because they did kind of mess up some of the things. Like, I actually am not a fan of the Zora swimming mechanics that they changed in the 3DS version. The same goes with Deku Link and how he works in the 3DS version. I don't know why they did what they did with those two versions of their transformations for Link, but yeah, for me, I still think that the N64 original is the best way to do it, to play this game. Even though I did kind of say that those mechanics are a little bit they still work, and it still works perfectly okay. That if you are playing Majora's Mask for the very first time, you really would not even care or wouldn't even notice, really. If you're like a big fanboy and hardcore like Majora's Mask fan like me, then of course you're gonna notice that, and you're gonna be very disappointed in that. But honestly, Majora's Mask 3D is still very playable. It's still 100% recommended too. So you really can't go wrong even playing that version either. Next on the list here that we have is Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. This one, I'm going to put that on B tier. I'm going to put that above of Hyrule Warriors. I've actually played a lot more of Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U, not really on the Switch version. I think I've got close to beating the Switch version, but then just stopped just because I was kind of like, kind of over it, I guess, a little bit. But I remember playing this game a lot when it came out on the Wii U. I remember pre-ordering and I believe getting Ocarina of Time versions of Link, Ganondorf, and Zelda because I pre-ordered the GameStop version. I think it was GameStop that gave you that, or maybe it was Twilight Princess. One of the two, but I remember having all of those costume sets and everything, and I remember my brother getting the download, or like keeping the receipt for me because he knew that I wanted those extra skins of Link and Zelda and Ganondorf. And so yeah, I remember him just, you know, coming home from work and him picking up the game for me. And yeah, I was like so hyped to play this game, and honestly it was really good. I actually love this version of Link. I love the scarf, I love everything of him. And that's the other thing that I forgot to point out for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it and spoil it out here. But I love the fact that for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, if you 100% the game, and I've actually was trying to 100% Age of Calamity, if you 100% it, you actually get Link's costume from the first Hyrule Warriors, the one with the scarf and everything and the armor piece. Like, it's so cool, and I love that. Like, I think that's amazing that that's a costume that you can get. And yeah, I love the design of this Link here, and young Link in this game was just far OP. He was too overpowered. He was so good. So I'm happy that they gave Majora's Mask Link, like, you know, young Link, made him overpowered in this. And I just love all the references that he had on his own costume with the mask having on his head and all that. Just all of that being referenced for Majora's Mask. I loved young Link in this game. Same goes with Linkle, the female version of Link and all that. Like, I loved everything about this game with that. So yeah, Hyrule Warriors for me, it's up there with one of the best Musou games for me. I think if I gotta pick which one's my favorite, I think Fire Emblem Warriors is still my favorite Musou game for me. But yeah, that's just it. Link's Awakening, 2009. So now that we're actually talking about Link's Awakening, I guess this is the remake version now. Again, I had no idea that the remake was on this list. I'm actually gonna go ahead and put this in B tier and probably move this one to C tier for me. Again, I actually did really enjoy Link's Awakening on the Switch. Like, I actually did like this version quite a bit. There's not really much else that I can really say about it. Again, a lot of people hated the kind of action figure look that Link, I guess, kind of had, like a little toy figure look that he had. I personally loved it. Like, I actually never minded it, and I thought he looked really cute. And yeah, I mean, I was happy with his design in this game, but I know that some people weren't all too happy. And then the same goes with like how the game runs on the Switch too. Like, there were some frame drops quite often and stuff like that, but it wasn't to the extent where like it ruined the game for me, really. So again, I still think if you want to play Link's Awakening, this is still one of the best ways to do so, is playing it on the Switch. Next on the list here is Twilight Princess, and I'm assuming this is the original GameCube and Wii version. If I'm gonna add this game, the Wii version, on the list here, I would actually add the Wii version on B tier, but for Twilight Princess, I'm gonna give it A tier, and it's gonna be right here at the very center. I'm sorry, I actually recently beat Twilight Princess on GameCube, and it is a great game. Don't get me wrong, I love this game to death. It's up there with, you know, if it's higher up on people's lists, I 100% can understand why this would be on your list. But I'm sorry, for me, it's not gonna be Wind Waker. It's very, in my opinion, I think Twilight Princess is just way too overrated. Like, it gets so much more love, I feel like, just because it was a pretty realistic game that everybody wanted. It's basically a Zelda game that everybody wanted at that time. And again, still a great game. Love everything about it. In fact, I actually prefer the original GameCube version more so than the HD version, actually. Just because it's just something about seeing the original icons showing on the top right hand corner, showing the original icons for the GameCube controller, and just seeing Link in that 480p kind of graphics just to hide the nasty looking HD textures that were on the HD version. It's far superior in my own opinion. Playing it on a CRT TV, it's honestly just the best way to do so. I honestly prefer the GameCube version still to this day more so than Twilight Princess HD on Wii U, which is very sad, I guess, weirdly enough. But yeah, other than that's just my thing with Twilight Princess. I think it is somewhat a little bit, just a tiny bit, tad bit overrated. And I think that it's if anything, actually, here, let me adjust it. Let me put Twilight Princess a little bit over Minish Cap, just because it is a bit better than Minish Cap, I would say, but not as good as Wind Waker. Ocarina of Time, and even the original N64 classic, like, it's still an amazing game. It's still one of the best ways to play, and it's still the best Legend of Zelda game ever made. I mean, there's a reason why this game to this day is the greatest highly reviewed game of all time on Metacritic. I think it's at the time when I remember I was doing research for it because I was making the story of video a couple years back. I believe it was at 98% or 97% with like the overall critic score. But yeah, Ocarina of Time, God tier, legendary status. This is the Zelda game to play for sure. And again, I think Ocarina of Time 3D did it a slightly bit better just because of the improved graphics and everything, and of course the touchscreen controls. So I'd still actually recommend and think Ocarina of Time 3D is the best way to play this game. But even if you don't have a 3DS, if all you have is a Nintendo Switch or even like classic console or whatever, or the N64 version, Ocarina of Time is still a fantastic game to play to this day. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is a game that I've actually been wanting to make a video of, talking more about how I felt for the game and stuff, because for me to do it, if anything, I probably have it right here. It's the very first game to do it, like the whole open world that it had for Breath of the Wild, and because of that, I will always hold Breath of the Wild near and dear to my heart. Not only that, like when Breath of the Wild came out and my brother and I were playing it, I remember talking to him every single, like, just talking to him because he was also playing the game, and we'd share kind of secrets and information about the game, being like, oh, have you done this? Have you tried doing this? Have you tried doing this? Oh no, this is what I did in order for me to complete this this shrine here. And it's just kind of like this back and forth thing that I kind of felt like I was a kid back again with my brother, talking to him about, hey, these are the games, this is what I did, this is what he did, and we kind of like shared our info and stuff with each other. And yeah, so that's why with me, Breath of the Wild is just far superior in my opinion, just because it was the very first game to do so. But if I need to go back and either play between Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I would actually consider Tears of the Kingdom to replay that more so than Breath of the Wild. And I believe with Tears of the Kingdom, it's also my fault a little bit, just because before Tears of the Kingdom released back in May of last year, I actually recently beat Breath of the Wild again for like the third time already, trying to get every shrine and everything. So I went ahead and do that, and then just replaying through Tears of the Kingdom and seeing that it's literally the exact same thing as Breath of the Wild, 4 dungeons. Technically, I'm not gonna say it, but you know what I mean for those who have played it. Just following the exact same formula as Breath of the Wild and playing it safe, kind of made it not really seem all too amazing to me. And just also the sky worlds of the sky islands that are in the game, like they were hyping that up so much for the release of the game. But once they came out and you were to go up there and all that, there wasn't really much to do. Like it didn't really like affect like the game. Like these could, like for me, the Sky Islands could really be there, or they couldn't even, like couldn't even be there, and I would still be okay with it. If I gotta go back and either play Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, I think I'd much rather go play Tears of the Kingdom more so than Breath of the Wild. But just the fact that it just followed the exact same formula, played it 100% safe. I don't know. I just kind of like I didn't have like that hype as I did with Breath of the Wild as like the initial first time that I played Breath of the Wild, if that makes sense. So, but it's still a great game. Like, and actually, I think the story of Breath of the Wild was a little bit more interesting. But I will say though, it gave us the best looking Ganondorf of all time, and Daddy Dorf in this game. Yeah, he's god tier, 100%. He's the GOAT. But there we go, guys. I guess this is my official rankings for the Legend of Zelda games. This is my rankings. This is what I think of these games. This is how I would put them. And yeah, I guess that's basically it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with my list? Do you guys agree with some of my opinions that I had for some of these games? Do you not agree with some of my opinions that I had? Just let me know in the comment section down below. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end off the video before I go on another full rant and tangent and just talk. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my rankings, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.